This is our chapter number 1, Object Oriented Concept and Principle. As we all know, software engineering is a systematic approach to design, development, operation, and maintenance of a software. In the statement, you can see the word like design, development, operation, and maintenance are the terms which are nothing but the phases of this software engineering process. If we followed, it is a process that can lead to development of software. This software engineering process is based on functions or procedures with limited reusability of programming structure. In this statement, the term programming structure is nothing but the program written in some particular programming language. Okay, so there are very few programming languages that provide us the reusability of its code. This software engineering process that follows a procedure or function strategy for development, such a software engineering technique is referred to as traditional software engineering. And the size of the software and the complexity in that software is increasing day by day. And hence, the traditional software engineering may not be effectively applicable in the current era as per the researchers say. To overcome from this problem, we want to simplify the development process and to produce highly quality maintainable software to fulfill user requirement. Object orientation is nothing but viewing and modeling the real world entities as a collection of interacting and interrelated objects. As we all know, everyone has its own view to look at some real model. Okay, and according to that view, that model gets changes. That is what the statement is all about. An object is a real world entity or element in an object oriented environment. Here, the term object oriented environment is nothing but the perception about the model such that it holds everything based on the object. Okay, so in such an environment, that object is nothing but the real world entity that encapsulates data and the functionalities to model real world. Here the term encapsulate means combining. It combines data and functionalities. Object may have a physical or a conceptual existence such that it distinguishes an object from another object. Also, the objects are used to determine the characteristics or properties as well as the value of the properties that hold that object. Here, this statement represents, or can we say, I can explain with the help of an example like, let us consider an object student class. Okay, so every student from a particular class has its own value, has its own properties like get admission, view admission, and so on. For every get admission, view admission process, it has all his own value. Okay, fine. Then objects that represents externally visible activities performed by an object in terms of changes in its state. When for this statement, we can have an example like when an object get admission into a class, the value held by that activity get changes. Means admission taken or admission pending. Likewise. Okay. So we can say object can be modeled according to the needs of application, and that is what the requirement analysis is all about. As per the requirement, what kind of application is required by that end user, according to that requirement, objects modeling can get changes. In object-oriented environment, the software is developed by building self-model objects that can be easily reused. Okay. Sometimes we see we create a program, we write a program that is used to build some application in which the object varies as per their use. Okay, that is what reusing the objects. In object orientation, it encourages the world in the current situations world to view a software as a cooperative and collaborating object. So we can define object when it comes to object orientation is it is an entity that saves its state and offers several methods to either examine or affect this state. Here in this statement, the state is nothing but the data and the methods are nothing but the behavior according to that data. Both are related to each other, which can be also given in the form of this diagram. Here in the picture, in the diagram, you can say that circle holding multiple methods which are centric over the data, and combining this method and data together it's form an object. Now in object orientation, another important aspect is class. A class is the collection of objects having same characteristic or properties that follows common behavior. You student, I guess, aware about this statement. Okay. A class represents nothing but a blueprint or description of the object that can be created from it. That is what class and object relation. We can say the creation of an object as a part of a class or as a member of a class is called as instantiation. Okay, so we can say object is an instance of a class. This class has a set of objects with similar behavior and information, we can say the data that may constitute a class. In general, different objects of a class have some difference in value of the attribute, and sometimes those attributes are often referred to as class data. Now to explain this statement, we can have an example like, let's say a class department. The department may have two objects, UG object and PG object. UG object is used to represent the undergraduate department. PG object is used there to postgraduate department. Okay, they both will have the different values and the attribute depending upon the need of that class. We have an example. Let us consider a class with name book having some attribute like subject descriptor to represent the subject, then ISBN, it is for the publication, then book title, it is for the name of the book, then language, author name, publisher, and so on. With this, we have some operation in this class like add book, delete book, update book, and view book. Okay. Combining these two information, data and the operation, we can say this is the class will look. Okay. Here you can say the three block in the representation of a class when it comes to the object orientation. It has class name, attribute, and the operation that will examine or affect that or affect on the data of that attribute. We can say object orientation relies on two aspects, that is information and behavior. Information has its unique identity. It has a description of its structure which is used to create it, and it has state to represent its current situation or its current condition. Now, to summarize these three statements, we'll say whatever a class is having in object orientation is having information that represent a particular structure which is based on the current situation. Okay, whereas the behavior is nothing but is the answer to the questions like what an object can do, what we can do with the object, and how a object can be used. To answer this three look like question, behavior works. Okay, and based on this information behavior, object orientation process depends.